Hi.
Hi. So
What's
silly.
your name?
My name is Imara Rihanna Chester.
And what do you do here at Kick?
I am the program coordinator at KIC.
And that is.
So I facilitate um, our programming, most of our programming, and I maintain and manage the programs, which are Talk Tuesday, which is our weekly programming. It is a community dialogue focused around our four core areas of focus, which are health and wellness, education and advocacy, careers and employment, and social justice and equity. I also co-facilitate Woman to Woman with Tashi. And that is our monthly programming here at KIC. And I also facilitate the LEAD Academy, which is a social justice and equity training program that brings in leaders from around the state to educate um, young LGBT adults aged 18 to 30 on what's going on in the LGBT movement, but also how we can make an impact on social welfare.
Ah, okay. I see what you did there. All right. What is woman to woman, though?
Woman to Woman is a beautiful thing. It is ever evolving, but it's a program originally created to bridge the gap between um, black, lesbian, and bi-attractional women. And we've evolved our understanding and we've evolved our space because of the people who enter our space. So we have no choice but to evolve. And we've kind of evolved into this space that is affirming of the woman experience. So we affirm the woman experience, whether that comes from a woman spirited person or a female bodied person. So people who have experiences um, with the female body but may or may not identify as woman still have a place in the space because we understand what it means to have for us to have a female body in this society and what kind of things come to us because of our body. Um, and we also welcome our sisters who are woman spirited but may not be female bodied because we also want to hear the experiences and welcome spaces for other women of color, black women who are having woman experiences that may be different from a person who's born into a female body but still their own very unique woman experience. So we meet once a month, every second Friday at KIC from 6 to when we leave. It's supposed to be 9 o'clock, but we be here late. So yeah.
That's awesome. So we heard from David and we heard from Curtis about a social welfare policy that directly affects the protection of LGBT people in the state of Michigan. But I was wondering, for a woman's perspective, what social policies affect women that people may or may not know about?
So
Well, first, let me pause. I asked you what social welfare policy was, right?
not while the recording was going.
Right, so let's try that. First, I want to ask you, what is social welfare policy to you?
So to me, social welfare policies are actions, campaigns, guidelines, and or doctrines that are intended to implement measures that create better standards of living and promote the well-being and livelihood of the society.
That's nice. Okay, that was woo. That had my whole brain going different places with that. Okay, so back to the question I asked before.
Mhm.
What social welfare policies affect women of color,
Mhm.
specifically, that people may or may not know about, and how?
So when you asked me that, I thought about the Affordable Care Act, which was a policy that was implemented during the Obama administration that we are currently in, um, and how that's been of benefit to women. I think about talking to women that I know and how many of us haven't had insurance for years, and it allowed us the opportunity to gain insurance at low cost, low or no cost. And I know that it's affected some people in a way that is not as like favorable as it's been to poorer women. So because some people now have to pay for their benefits or pay for some benefits or they lose some type of benefit. But I think overall it has been a benefit to society because what is it? 5 million people who were uninsured are now insured. That's 5 million people who've been walking around without health care, without access to preventative care, which is a big issue in our community because Black, lesbians, and bi women are dying at higher rates of breast cancer, although we catch cancer. Can you catch cancer? I think we are
I don't
diagnosed.
think it's like a baseball. I don't think you
No,
just.
you don't catch it, but we are diagnosed less often than white women, but we're dying more often from breast cancer and other cancers because of this relationship to healthcare that we have, right? So, one, we come from a history of not, well, we come from a lot of kinds of history, but we just talked about how many people haven't been insured, so you don't go to the doctor on a regular basis to get checkups, your annual pap smears, all of this stuff, which is weird that they changed to 3 years. And I was like, that why would you change it to 3 years? Because
Because it's invasive, maybe.
it is invasive, and I hate to say that invasive things are necessary, but some invasive things are necessary because of my space, my vagina wasn't invaded, and I felt super violated by a pap smear, and I felt like they didn't warm me up or get me ready or take me out. But that's how I found out that I had a rare form of ovarian cancer, is because I had this super invasive practice done to me that was able to, like, I was probed in all types of ways, and it was but yeah, we won't go there. But so it's allowed a lot more women to access those preventative measures. Now, does it address these underlying issues? Not directly. So I feel like when we talk about health disparities in the Black community and amongst Black women and amongst, more specifically amongst like Black, lesbian, bi, trans women, there are some things,
And men?
and trans men, because that is a female-bodied experience. It's some underlying things that social welfare policy don't address. Like, even though I wonder, and I don't know statistics, but even though 5 million people who weren't previously insured are insured now, how many of those 5 million see their doctors on a regular basis now that they're insured? Because a solution to a perceived problem doesn't necessarily fix the underlying issues, because you're taking this top issue, which is good, and I'm like, don't take it away, because I just got dental coverage, and that's real. I haven't had dental insurance in like 6 years, so I'm happy. But
I need to make me a dental appointment.
yeah, which is, teeth are like, taking care of our teeth is really necessary, but implementing social policy doesn't address on this, like, implementing on this top level doesn't address these underlying issues of stigma. So for lesbian and bi women, like, it's really hard to go to the doctor and try to explain to you, no, I'm not pregnant. Yes, I am sexually active. No, I don't have sex with men. And like having to do this continuously. Every time I come to the doctor, I'm made to, one, come out. Why don't you write that down in my chart? Two, it's not going to change, I promise. But two, why do I have to continuously go through this cycle of you not understanding my experience? And I'm not saying you have to be of the experience in order to understand it, but if you know that some of your patrons are lesbians and bi women, then why aren't you doing the research? Why aren't you taking the extra step necessary to understand what issues affect us? So we don't have high rates of gonorrhea and chlamydia, but we do have high rates of trichomonas. So why aren't you trichomonas, herpes? So why aren't you facilitating these other tests? And then that's another problem when it comes to ACA is that I feel like there's this energy around poor people, and when you give poor people insurance, that they get poor service. And that's a problem, because if we're talking about the social welfare, which is the well-being of society, then you should be treating me like you want me to be well, instead of like I'm some second-class citizen that got a handout, when there's so many barriers to me just getting, because getting food stamps is like a full-time job. So we're not going to talk about that. But I'm
you can't go to school. You got
right.
You got to have a job.
When I tried to apply before ACA, I tried to apply for Medicare, yeah, Medicare, because I needed health insurance.
You have to have a baby before Obamacare.
You had to have a baby or have a chronic illness. They asked me when I went
on disability.
I had the meeting. She was like, "Are you pregnant or planning on getting pregnant?" I was like, "No, I work at Pizza Hut. I can't afford that, and I'm a lesbian." No, lesbians can have babies. We still got the perks, but that's just not where I was at that moment. And she was like, "Well, do you have any chronic illnesses?" And I was like, "So I have to be dying or giving life in order to get some help?" And I was like, but then we talk about welfare moms as if they're the ones who create the issue. I was like, but you're promoting people having babies in order to get assistance.
I'm glad that changed.
I'm glad that changed too.
I still can't get food stamps though.
I can't get food stamps either. But
apparently you can't have a bank account with the money I got in it ain't but $600.
Right, and you can't. It's a lot of things. Like, you can't make so much money. I applied for underemployment, and I didn't make enough money to get underemployment when I was working at Pizza Hut. And they're like, you need to get a second part-time job in order to make enough money to get underemployment. I like, don't that mean I'm underemployed, though? We need to fix some stuff.
So I heard through the grapevine that you are attending Mary Groves Grad School for Social Justice.
Woo woo! I love Mary Grove. Mary Grove is awesome. Shout out to Mary Grove.
That's what you're doing this for.
Oh, hey. Yeah, I am in Mary Grove's Master of Arts for Social Justice, and it is my second month there. And I'm really excited about it.
Well, tell me more about this. At some point, I'm sure I'll be either going to their grad school or U of D's. So, tell me what your experience has been like with the academia.
So, it's been a really interesting experience with going to grad school. So, a barrier for me was that I doubted myself. And I doubted if I procrastinated a lot with applying. Just applying first, I had all these questions like, do I want to go for social justice or art therapy? I want to combine art and social justice. Will art therapy allow me to do this? But I have been researching Mary Grove for years. I started researching Mary Grove before I graduated from undergrad. And I graduated from undergrad in 2011. So, yeah. In December 2011, I was done. And it's been really like welcoming, and to enter into the social justice program, there are a lot of people in my cohort from a different experiences, but to sit in a room of like minds that like, okay, we're working for justice of people instead of like corporations and all of this stuff. And it was just this underlying common understanding. And our advisor, Dr. Brenda Bryant, is like she's an amazing little powerful woman. Like, she's so powerful and cool and like, and humble and easy to communicate with. And it's interesting to me, like, my first class, we were in the room with 4 women, which is beautiful to be taught by 4 women of color. 4 women of color who have like made real impacts, like in civil rights movement, American Indian movement, the Latino studies at Wayne State, like implemented that program basically. And like this woman who's like traveled the world, and for them to just sit down and have like this like experience with us and to see so much in us. So it's been a really beautiful experience so far. The work, I was like, okay, this grad school thing is real. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of good work that's making me push myself. So I'm really excited to see what happens. I'm excited to see what happens with my cohort and what kind of programs and like things we come up with. Because it seems like we're going to be connected for a long time.
What advice do you have for my undergrad class?
Advice for what?
School.
Oh, don't procrastinate. You don't want to write a research paper in 2 days. So, yeah, get it done.